Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Hit that button, Maestro. More Stories podcast live from the Fake Mustache Studios. I'm at jmohr.com if you want to email me. Buy T-shirts to support the podcast. Hit the Amazon banner. Buy something. Email me. I'll read what you wrote. Jimmy Schubert in the house. At Jimmy Schubert. No C in Schubert.
No C in Schubert. Schubert like the theater.
But people that don't live in Boston don't know that.
I know. People always put the C in it. It's like one of those pet peeves. I'm going, just Google me, man. The Schubert pops up.
You just drop a fucking Google me?
Just Google me, man. Just Google me. Come over to MySpace and let me Yahoo all over your Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Google me, bro. People are like, who do you think you are? Google me, bro.
That's so crazy.
Jimmy Schubert is on Last Comic Standing and kicking ass. You made the final 10.
Yeah, well, semifinals just aired tonight. That's why my phone's going to be vibrating like a maniac because it's just on the East Coast feed. They just went off on the East Coast feed.
This will air 2 weeks from now. So by the time you're listening to this, Jimmy Schubert may have been eliminated.
That's right. That's exactly.
If I know anything about Last Comic Standing, I know that they got wacky challenges.
You created the show.
I did. Co-created, I guess, in full disclosure and fairness, with Peter Engel, who created Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
And we took it over to NBC, and Jeff Gassman was the head at NBC, and we did it. I liked it. I was proud of it.
I think you should be proud of it. I think it's great. I think it's get comedians on prime time, and I think what's good for comedy is great for comedians. And I think this is they took a 3-year hiatus. They brought it back. They made a couple changes with the judges. I think the judges are amazing. Russell Peters and Roseanne, and Keenan Ivory Waynes. And I think that they're they really kind of wanted to honor the art form. It's the only reason I decided to do it this season. After taking Paige Hurwitz and Wanda Sykes, they really said no more.
What is Wanda doing? I thought she was going to host when I got wind.
I did too. But she is producing, and they're doing a good job. She actually mentored us at one point in the show with Amy Schumer.
Do you you've been doing comedy 30 damn years?
Yeah. So
when Wanda or Amy when Amy Schumer goes to mentor you, is there pushback? Easy, sweetheart. I kind of know what I'm doing.
No, I wanted to play the game, man. I was going to be an idiot, and plus, I think Amy's great. I mean, she's got a show on Comedy Central, and I think it's funny. I think Amy's funny, man. I respect her, but you're right. I know people would throw ashtrays at the television. Are you kidding me? People go nuts, but it's you signed up for the thing. Play by the rules,
When I did it, when I was hosting it, people, when Dat Fan won, everybody was like, it's fixed. He beat Ralphie May. And let's be honest, all respect to Dat Fan, it's like Ralphie May is a first
Well, I got news for you. The only reason Dat Fan won is because they played hide and seek and they left him outside the bushes for 2 hours. And I think people felt bad for him.
They did. My Aunt Sally teaches special ed in Brick, New Jersey. And she voted for Dat Fan, and I just asked her, why did you vote for Dat Fan? Did you think he's the funniest? And she goes, I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And this year they didn't do that because they think America gets it wrong most of the time.
No voting. It's
just the judges, which I like because all the judges do stand-up comedy. They know how tough it is, and you can't have somebody who doesn't do it judging it. I think that you have to have people that have done stand-up comedy to actually be great judges on it.
And Roseanne being on board, let's not kid each other. Roseanne is, that's a monster. Because when we did it, Barry Katz would go, all right, for celebrity judges, here's my wish list. And it was Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner, Jerry Seinfeld, Bill Cosby, and we wind up with Ant.
Yeah. No, I think that yeah.
You guys got the big names.
Yeah, they did it right this year. I think that because it is still an art form, and I think you can't like be running through Bed Bath and Beyond grabbing stuff off the shelves to do a prop box for Carrot Top. I think that was a little silly,
Yeah.
But they, I think the challenge this year, there's going to be a roast challenge and some other stuff. There's going to be some sketch comedy they're going to do. I mean, the disciplines of stand up is what they want to stick to. And
I still remember my roast jokes.
Yeah.
The ones they couldn't put them on the air.
Yeah. Well, you guys have the advantage when you're a contestant in the show. You're trying to come up with stuff or create stuff because you got to get past standards and practices. The sooner you clear standards and practices, you don't want to be, getting ready to tape that night and wondering if you can say what you're going to say.
But explain to the listener, like, what a guy like driving a mail truck has no idea what standards.
Okay, so they say you got to come up with a 4-minute and 30-second set. So you write a set that's about basically 3:30 because you realize 3:30 is going to expand to about 4:30 in the theater like that.
With the applause and stuff.
Yeah, with the applause and stuff. It's just going to. And then you have to, you can't mention any brand names and you can't say the way you word stuff. So I wanted to get my sets cleared as quick as possible. So they would go, yeah, that's fine, and then go work on those sets. And like maybe they would change like a line or two here and there, but that was fine. But they're only going to you do 4 minutes and 30 seconds. They only show like 3 minutes of it, 2 minutes and 30 seconds of it on television. So.
They say about reality television because you wonder, like, wow, they edit it to make a certain person look like a jerk. Not Last Comic Standing specifically, but like Real Housewives and stuff like that. They go like, well, they edit. I had Caroline Manzo from Real Housewives of New Jersey on. She said, look, no one can edit you to look different than your actual self.
That's
like,
true.
If you're an asshole, the editors can't make you look good, and if you're good, they won't go out of their way to edit you to make you look like a dick.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I think that it's like it's one of those queer. I've watched some of these. I watched a season of The Voice just to check it out. I watched a season of American Idol all the way through just to see what they were doing. I mean, it's one of those queer rungs on the socioeconomic ladder where you can watch people go from complete unknown to a superstar. And you watch those people go through that process, and you get emotionally involved with them. You get your favorites, you root for them, and I think Last Comic Standing is pretty similar. People are going to watch you, and they're going to kind of get they're going to go, oh, I like this guy or I like this guy, and they're going to root for you.
So who's in the final 10? Jimmy Schubert, Redman, Rodan.
Look, I'm not allowed to discuss it.
You're not really?
No, I signed
I signed
I signed a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, they will drag me out of my house and sue me because I no spoiler alerts, but after tonight they have one more semifinal and then everybody will know. Next Thursday another semi, and then everybody will know. And then there's then they get down to the top 10, and then it becomes the Real Housewives of Last Comic Standing. But you're right. I don't think they can make you look like an ass if you're not an ass. And the problem with most of these guys. Look, I know Rocky LaPorte 20 years. Ida Rodriguez is a woman that I worked with before. I took Lachlan Patterson on the road with me. So you're working with these people that are in the contest. So I'm not going to turn around and throw these people under the bus. It's not. I'm more of a guy who'll make a phone call to get you a gig than I am a guy that I'm a guy who'll throw you under the bus. To make myself look better. I always help out other comedians if I can. If I think they're talented. I'll send an email to a club owner and go, hey, listen, you got to check this person out. They'll go to your website, or I'm coming in. Can I bring my own feature act and bring some people out with me? I mean,
where did that go, Jimmy Schubert? At Jimmy Schubert on Twitter. No seeing Schubert. Like, it's like a dying breed, just comics that help other comics. And I say it all the time. Can you imagine, why don't comics all retweet each other's dates? We're never in the same town against each other.
Yeah, I think, but I think you're right. I think some people think it is. First off, it's an extremely competitive profession, but I'm not competing with anybody. It's like golf. I'm only seeing how well I can play. I mean, you may be in my foursome, but I'm going to try to play the best game around the golf I can play. And it doesn't, and you're right. I agree with you. I came up at a time at the Comedy Store where there were these little animosities, but I would sit there with 20 guys, and the guy would introduce a premise, and guys would throw 3 or 4 taglines on it. And then, and guys would, Kinnison brought me on the road with him for like 5 years. I toured out for Sam for 5 years. I mean, put great, cool moments in my life. And I'm this kid, and I'm touring with the most controversial, one of the funniest guys in America at the time, doing 5,000-seat theaters. I mean, so I felt people have done that for me. I always feel obligated to do it for other people.
How did you meet Sam? You were a doorman at the Comedy Store?
I was a doorman at the Comedy
Store.
I thought
you were from. Where are you from?
I'm from Philly. I did comedy for a couple of years in Philly. I was either going to go to New York or I was going to go to Los Angeles. And I said if I go to New York, eventually I'm going to have to go to L.A. anyway because, I wanted to do some acting. I mean, I love stand-up comedy, but it was, stand-up isn't kind of a means to an end. It's an ends to a means. I mean, you can be a great comic, but you have to be able to do other things. I don't think it's just enough to be a great stand-up comedian anymore, you know? Yeah. I mean, the days like Carlin, was all Carlin did was, Carlin basically didn't start doing any acting stuff till he got to later in his career, but...
And how about when he did? He was perfect. Like, wasn't Prince of Tides? He played the gay neighbor downstairs.
Yeah. And
like,
he's done a couple of great
like
stuff.
People just know like Bill and Ted's and like Dogma, but like he was actually in like real big movies with the big hitters, and he wasn't the weak link at all.
Yeah, no, he was great, and he really played it subtly. He played the gay neighbor. He didn't play it like overtly gay, like oh my god, you know. But he was great at it. He's the, and then he had his own sitcom, short-lived as it was, but it was great.
So you met Sam at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, I was a doorman, and Sam would come in. And Sam was a doorman at the Comedy Store, and he knew how tough that was. And he would come in and buy pizzas for everybody when he started.
Why is it tough?
Well, he just knew that, like, because you're a doorman, you're making $25 a night. You probably have to work another job to pay your bills, and you're not really, you know.
Why is that tougher than being like a dental hygienist or a receptionist at DMV or something?
Because other people are in charge of how far you go, especially at the Comedy Store. I mean, you know, you could be a great comic and people just... Oh,
you mean being a comic and being a doorman?
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Trying to get to that level, and you just... You know, you just you know, L.A. is no place you want to live when you're struggling, man. It's just not a place you want to live because I think the cost of living is expensive here. It's also expensive in New York, but you got to go to New York or L.A. if you want to play and trade punchlines with the best guys in the country. You know.
Plus, in L.A., if you're depressed, you're surrounded by happiness at all times.
Yeah.
Like you're super depressed, and people are on the beach, hang gliding, and playing volleyball, and they're like 4-on-4 volleyball, and you're like, they're all friends. Where am I?
Yeah. The people are walking the street, people are hugging trees and stuff. You know, like, what, you know.
Well, that guy is a trainer.
Yeah,
I was just going to kill myself. That guy's doing a core workout right on the beach.
Yeah.
Now I feel worse.
You know, so he would come in, he'd buy pizza. He'd buy like 20 pizzas and feed all the comics. You know, people would just devour the pizza. They were so hungry because it's like usually they call it, you know, the thing at the bar, the cherries, the lemons, the limes, the oranges. That was like a comedian's buffet or like a struggling comedian's buffet. You know,
those cherries. I'm all full.
Yeah. People would eat that.
You gonna finish your stem, man?
Yeah. So and then Sam was like, you know, Sam was doing. He would come in, and Robin Williams come in and would improv with him. But you know, all those guys were great. I mean, Belzer was working there, Lenny Clark, and then Sam on Monday night. Yeah, great. But he would do
another great actor.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, that guy was doing it for 25 years before he got his break. I mean, you know, I think he was in Kentucky Fried Movie at one point, and then didn't do anything till like Tony Montana. He played the comic at the nightclub, and then he was.
Oh, that's right. He was in Scarface.
And he was in Scarface, little things, and then he was on. Then he was in that. Who was the dude that directed that? Was Homicide?
I think it was Homicide, and that turned into Law and Order.
Yeah, it turned into Law and Order.
I think it's the longest-running character in the history of television.
Yeah,
he did the same guy for like 25
you know,
years.
I've hung out with Bells. Bells is a
really.
Yeah, you know, we did some. Me, him, and Sam and Carl LeBeau did some shows down at La Jolla, and you get to hang out with those guys. There's no way I should have been there. I mean, I was like a young up-and-coming kid, but I was just all about it. I was just trying to figure out.
I think they all liked you, Jimmy Schubert, because you're all about the work. Like you're like a roofer. Like you get up there with the tool. Seriously, like when you approach comedy, like as blue collar as anybody I've ever seen. Like
thanks,
you grab the mic and you just put in the goddamn work. Like you ain't got time to be hip for the room, or to be ironic, or to be like, you guys don't get me with my Mork and Mindy T-shirt. How funny! Look how ironic I am, man. Like that's the thing I hate most. We were talking about it off mic, and we'll share it, I guess, with the listener. It'd be foolish not to. Like, I say this on stage. I got a whole huge chunk about. I have no irony in my body. Like if I wear a Journey T-shirt, it's because they're fucking awesome. Not because I think it's funny that I'm wearing a fucking Journey T-shirt. And if you think they suck and you wear the shirt, then you're an asshole. Yeah. Like you see guys in like a Neil Diamond tour T-shirt because they're like, I know it's funny, right? Like, no, it's awesome. I want it. Yeah. Give it up, stupid.
Well, I know. I think that's just a generational thing. I think we've lost some of our work ethic in this country, and we could debate that, but that would seem like work. And all due respect to the current generation, I think it's very tough to do manual labor in your skinny jeans, and there's really not a lot of time left over to get up inside your carburetor after you spend a good portion of your morning waxing and curling your ironic barbershop quartet mustache. You know what I mean? But
Jimmy Schubert, ladies and gentlemen.
But I'd like to get up. But I do. I mean, I got a very blue collar. I got 6 brothers. My dad was a homicide detective. I grew up in Philly. Yeah, I grew up in Philly. Yeah, how do you like that to get up for breakfast in the morning, get ready for school, and you see the crime scene photos over the dining room table, and what you realize what people were capable of. My old man used to listen to, like, my old man would wear a wire and let me listen in, like when he had a conversation with informants and stuff like that. And he goes, "Hey, listen to this. What do you think?" But I mean, it was that was an education unto itself. But it was like growing up. Most of my childhood was a NYPD Blue interrogation scene with Dennis Franz. You know, it was like anytime anything bad happened to the neighborhood, they would come right to our house because my dad was a cop. And my dad would show up the porch light and line us up in the living room. Number 3, turn to the side. I mean, we egged his neighbor's house 6 nights in a row. The 6th night, he was waiting in the bushes for us, and he caught my little brother, and he caught this other kid that was doing with us, and the rest of us just standing there with eggshells on us, but we didn't get caught. And the guy was like, "It's a Schubert, number 3, turn to the side." But
I always said
neighbor was Dat Fan.
Yeah,
Dat Fan got caught. Your little brother.
We egged Dat Fan's parents' house 6 nights in a row.
You want square or round? People don't.
They don't do it when he's got mid-sip on the Red Bull there. He just shot it through his eyeball.
Just don't shoot it on the Big Dat TR-808 we got over there, our big running board we got for the
That's
bike.
nice, bro. That's a portable running board right there.
Matt keeps with him at all times. I never see it unless he shows up.
That's
if I could record this without him, I could do it on my phone or some shit, or do GarageBand on my Mac, which I don't know how. So
yeah,
he's a valuable young man right there.
Yeah, thank you.
I've grown up. It's like there's 2 kinds of kids that can climb fences and kids that can't.
Yeah.
And I was a fence climber. I was a monkey. I was up and at 'em like you. Fence didn't mean shit to me. How high it was, barbed wire obviously will slow you down. But but like if there's a fence, like can't look how high that fucking fence is. I was already on the other side. Like, what are you guys fucking pussies? Let's go.
Yeah, I got involved, but I could do the jumps like through the neighborhoods. You could just dive over the fence, do a curl.
Everyone's yard mapped out in your mind.
Yeah, and the cops would come. The cops would just come, and we would get in foot chases with the cops. We loved it. I mean, that was like the thing. It was like
the cops never knew that there was that bush trail between the McMurtry's and the Vivianas.
Yeah, dude, we were playing. What's that video game where you can smack a hoe and steal a car? What was that?
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, we were
GTA,
playing Grand Theft Auto for real, bro. Back then, I mean, we would go. I was with these kids in high school. This neighborhood over in Morel, we would get a liter Coke bottle. We'd dump some Coke out. We'd fill 151. We'd go steal a car out of the mall parking lot and then go up to Southampton, this abandoned mental institution. And these other guys, and we would play card tag. You're it. And then, it was crazy, dude.
That sounds like the best.
Yeah,
sounds fun,
that was like
dude.
one of the last traditional American childhoods, I think.
Stealing cars and crashing.
Yeah, we did it,
But I had an abandoned mental hospital when I grew up.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. It's
right. The next block over was Overbrook Hospital.
Yeah, and it was like this whole like state-run facility, but it was completely abandoned. We go up there and like go through those buildings, and there was graffiti artists up there, and it was.
You're explaining my childhood, Jimmy Schubert.
Yeah, but that was an East Coast childhood. You grew up in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we grew up in Philly. But there was like,
just let them out, let them walk the streets of Newark.
Yeah.
And then you would ride your bikes up and down like these hospital hallways.
I remember me and my next door neighbor, Ronnie Ferraro, my brother Bobby, we grabbed fishing poles, we grabbed our bikes. We rode 17 miles to the Churchville Reservoir. We fished all day. And by the time we got back, it was dark, and my mom ran into us on Academy Road. Where the hell were you kids? We go, we're coming home. We're almost there. We went fishing all day, I used to go hunt with my old man behind the police academy.
Well, you hunted behind how many bear, deer?
No, we small game, pheasants and rabbits.
Right behind the police academy?
Dude, I swear to God, I'm hunting with my dad's friend, this guy named Johnny Millins, and this guy was been hunting his whole life, and he pulls out his gun, bam, and he blasts this rabbit, and he didn't catch him clean. He caught him in the back, so he couldn't run. He couldn't run, and he picks the rabbit up by its hind legs, chops it behind the neck. The body goes limp. He pulls out his knife, sticks it in, runs it down his belly, reaches in, grabs the entrails out, grabs it by the legs, yanks him out, picks up the rabbit, puts it in his back game pocket, picks up his gun, and starts going again. And I'm going, oh my God, it was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
These are real men.
Yeah, these are real men. I mean,
why do people get so mad when they find out you hunt? Like, people are going to tweet you and I about like we're scumbags.
Well, they can, but my old man has 6 kids. So if my old man got a deer, that was meat for the winter. And my mom for a 28-cent bullet, my dad could get a deer and some big deer, and that was meat for the winter. And my mom could cook venison, like she could make a goulash. We had venison burgers. We had venison. So I mean, if my dad got a deer, bro, we're eating deer meat, but that was a really healthy lean meat with no chemicals in it. Rather than so people can say what they want, but we used to get the deer hide and we'd salt it up, and we would make we make gloves and shit out of it. We used the whole.
This is in Philly. You sound like you're in Minot, South Dakota.
No, man. We were Pocono Mountains. We go up there. My dad was a member of the Stony Run and Gun Club with 22 acres, and behind it was state game lands, and we go up there we go up there in the summer, but in the winter we'd go up and hunt for deer. And the older we got, we all had to take gun safety courses, and then we would go. We'd all go up and we learn how to hunt. And if my dad got a deer, my brother Bobby got a deer, that was it, dude. We were eating good that winter. And people can say what they want, but we ate. I mean, it wasn't like, you can't even bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to school. They would charge you with attempted murder because there's 4 and 7 kids have peanut allergies. These kids are bringing guns to school. You know what the kids should do? They should crack over a jar of Jif and just lob it into the cafeteria. You're bound to get about 2 or 3 of those little kids that didn't have their EpiPens. The kids just, kind of blowing up, trying to crawl out of the cafeteria.
Jif grenades.
Yeah, Jif grenades, man. Just toss a little Jif extra crunchy grenade in there because, I was just in China. I was doing a tour in Asia.
Whoa, slow. What do you mean? You said you're like just so smoothly, like I was just in China. It's like, well, that's kind of a big deal.
Well,
Jimmy Schubert,
but let me tell you something.
Star of Last Comic Standing.
I got to be honest with you.
And Go, the movie Go.
The movie Go.
I told you, keep your hands up to ladies.
That's right, me and you. Me and you.
We'll get to that. I wrote it down. We'll circle back.
That's right, man. Me and you were in Go together.
You were in China, though.
So I was in China. And the opportunity presented itself. Like this guy said, we're doing this gig in China. I said, well, do they speak English? He goes, yeah, they're all Americans. They're Americans. They're Australians. They're Canadians. They're all over here teaching English to the Chinese. They have these expat communities, and there's nothing for them to do. So would you be interested in coming over here? And I said, well, yeah, if they're Americans. I mean, if I don't have to, ni chi lo fai la ma, ni hao ma, if I don't have to do my act in Mandarin, I'm going. And so I went over the first time, and it was a blast. They flew me over. They put me in some of the nicest hotels, and they're all Americans, Canadians, Australians. They all speak English. There's nothing for them to do over there because it's China. And they would show up at the shows, and I did that. And then the next year I went over to do it, which was just this last time. I was in February. I came back in February. I went to Hong Kong, Singapore, Macau, and then Shanghai, Hangzhou, Suzhou, and Nanjing, and then back to Shanghai in like 20 days because I started at the Tacoma Comedy Club up in Seattle.
It's like we all started in Tacoma, and we made our way to Macau.
But what happened was we started.
Who does your fucking tour?
I know,
a blind guy with darts?
That's exactly right. No, but it started there. And then, so in 20 days, I did 18 shows in 8 cities in 5 countries and 2 continents, and it was rock and roll. I mean, every day you're picking up your bag, pack light, because you're just going to go and you're somewhere else. And
any good blow in China? Did you ever get any resources?
No, I don't. I hung up my straw. That was a Hall of Fame career. You talk about blow, like some Bolivian marching powder.
No, I mean, did people walk up to you and blow? Yeah, that's what I meant.
No. It's those days are over. I retired my straw, bro.
You toured with Kinnison.
I know. I got a lot. Listen, I'm just glad I survived it. Believe me.
I was the last person to work with Sam before he died.
Oh, is that right?
I think it was August 3rd at Tulane University, and he. What did he die? August 5th? August 6th?
I think it was maybe April. April,
that's what I meant. April 3rd.
Yeah. It was an A month. August, April. Yeah, but it was
April 5th?
April 7th.
April 7th. I worked with him April 3rd at Tulane University. I opened with him, and they go, you want to open for Sam Kinison? I'm like, obviously, yeah, hell yeah. And then you get there, you're all excited. They put you up in the hotel. I remember I had nothing to do that whole day, and there was bungee jumping in like this parking lot all by itself. No carnival. Just a guy with a crane, you could bungee jump. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And I get up the top, and I realize, like, there's no pad, nothing, just a straight shot to the parking lot.
Right.
And I go, is this really say? And the guy just pushes me off the thing, and I bounce around. I liked it. And then I go on, and then I go to the theater, and it's, like you said, a 5,000-seat theater. I've been doing comedy, like, 6 years, or I don't know how long, 7 years. And I'm really fired up. And not only, like, is it a huge theater, fuck that. I get to work with Sam Kinison. Sam's going to see me.
Yeah.
He's going to fall in love with me. I'm going to be his opening act. I'm going to win over his fans. Like, I had this whole plan, this grand plan. I'm gonna, And it's just there's 19 guys on the show that he just pulls with him. You know, like Carl, obviously.
Yeah, Carl LeBeau, yeah.
And there's so many guys of the Outlaws. I forget their names. And his brother was there. And you couldn't – there were so many people around Sam.
You couldn't get to him.
You couldn't see Sam.
Yeah.
Like you would just see the top of his beret.
Yeah, and he probably had the two girls.
And you want to go up to him and go like, hey, I'm Jay, I'm opening for you. And you realize, well, I'm not opening for him. Like he has no idea that I'm even on the bill.
Yeah, that's weird.
And he went on stage like maybe 2 hours after I got off stage.
Wow.
And he was great. It was amazing. But
yeah, well, he was one of those guys who started doing that before the Kings of Comedy, even before Tourgasm and all that stuff. I mean, Sam had like 5 guys. You know, I was lucky enough to be one of those guys, but it was Mitch Walters, Alan Stevens.
That's the name I can
Carl LeBeau. And myself, and you know, you're on a tour bus. You're doing like 70 cities. You know, like when I was a kid, I dreamed about touring the country like that on a bus like that, and staying in a hotel. You know that, and to have that, and you're doing these like ridiculous venues. I mean, we did 2 shows at the Fox Theater in Detroit, 5,000 seats, almost back to back, at the height of his popularity. I mean, it was amazing. You know,
how many guys were on the show that you were on?
We usually did, you know, Alan Stevens was open. I'd go in the second spot. Then it was Mitchell, Carl. There was a break, and then Sam would come back out. And then we would do. There was different combinations. Like in Vegas, it was like me, Carl, and Sam. At one point, Carl would open because Sam didn't want to follow Carl LeBeau. I mean, Carl was one of the best comedians I've ever seen in my life as far as physicality goes. I mean, he was watching him. It was like you get exhausted just watching him. It was like a martial arts kata. Like, yeah. You know, he had this whole thing, but it was just his bits were so timed, and he was just it was hilarious performance art if you've never seen it. And he had all these great bits, and he got so strong that Sam goes, "We'll let Carl open the show, and you're going to follow him." I said, "I got to follow him." And and it just makes you a better comedian. But you know, we were in Vegas. I'll never forget that we were in Vegas, and we're supposed to do 2 weeks at the Dunes, and they held us over for the 3rd week because I think they had a male strip review come in, and they backed out at the last minute. So we're in Vegas. We're going to the Olympic Gardens, a strip club. Billy Idol's coming up. You know, all these rock and roll guys are hanging out. We're working these girls. And like the 3rd week, it all comes to a head. So Saturday night, I got a 7 o'clock show. After the 7 o'clock show, there's a chick hanging out. I go, hey, I take her upstairs. Bang. Drop a little nut butter. Go back down, get ready for the 9 o'clock show. She comes up. Like, hey, how are you? Boom. Bring this chick up. All right, ready? We're ready for the 11 o'clock show. She could chick for the 11 o'clock show.
Farted on her?
What's that? No, I threw a little toddler juice down a goozle chute. And then,
anyway,
hey, ladies and gentlemen,
hey,
and 11 o'clock. I mean, it was like, so I'm all like exhausted, and we had a little party. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the strippers from the Olympic Garden shows up in a trench coat with some lingerie on, knocks on. I go, oh, here we go. And I just thought I was getting ready for bed, and she comes in. And just, we did it again. It was like one of the best nights of my life. Actually, that's a career
Imagine
night.
what Sam was getting.
Yeah, well, he had these 2 girls, these 2 sisters, Malika and Sabrina, and they were like gun malls. They were like, they wouldn't let any. That's why I think I got so much stinky, is because they got nobody could get near Sam. They couldn't get near Sam because these 2 sisters. He was like the meal ticket.
But they were actually sisters with one another.
Yeah, they were sisters, Malika and Sabrina. Yeah.
Do you think they all like fooled around at the same time?
No, they didn't all fool around because Sam would have woke up with a pair of scissors in his chest. He was sleeping with the older one.
Malika.
And then he was going around and fucking having sex with a younger one. And I said to him, "You were playing a dangerous game, my friend." I said, and he was going, it's just a matter of time for the big sister finds out. And then your life is going to become a nightmare. But he passed away before the big sister found out. But she did find out. I mean, it got out. But
a lot of people found out a lot of things after Sam passed.
Yeah, I guess.
So that was, how long was that tour with Sam?
Well, it was on and off. I mean, I was the only guy, actually. And Kinnison said this to me. He goes, how come you're the only guy I don't got to come back and pay the rent for? And I said, dude, look, I would come back on the road from Sam, and I would call the comedy clubs while we're there. I'd invite the bookers out to the comedy clubs. I'd get them backstage pass to have them meet Sam. The minute I got back to Los Angeles, I was doubling back around to go back out and do the comedy clubs. And I was the only guy doing that. And Sam's like, you're the only guy I don't got to pay your rent. I go, yeah, because I'm back out working. I would come off in all those clubs.
So the guys were waiting for Sam.
Yeah, and I was going, look, this guy's not going to make anybody a star. He could barely do it himself. I mean, Sam was just one of those guys. It was like, this guy was like a homeless guy with a career. He had these $1 million houses, and we'd do drugs and drink and pass out on the kitchen floor like a lunatic. And, and he was surrounded by, and he's hanging with Mitchell Walters and Alan Stevens. These guys could score an 8-ball in a convent, and they could also hold out in the shower. These are the kind of guys you're hanging out with, and they're just waiting for Sam. Alan Stevens eventually wound up working with Roseanne on the Roseanne show, but Mitchell Walters, this guy walks around, treat life like it's a betting window at a racetrack. He just, no social skills at all.
When Rascals, they used to have a Rascals down in South Jersey. Remember that one?
Yeah. They had the elephant room in there.
It was great.
Yeah.
And Mitchell Walters, for some reason, was like hanging out in the kitchen, not like in the little dressing room, but like in the kitchen. And he came up to me and he goes, "Hey, you need anything? You need anything? You need anything?" I'm like, "No, man, I'm all set." And he's like, and he just like goes in his pockets like coins. But it wasn't coins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just different. Like, it was like he had fucking Skittles in his pocket. He goes, this with that one, tiny screamers, blues, reds, greens, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and then I go, "No, man, I'm all set, but I really appreciate it. Thank you." And he goes, "You name any city in the country, I'll tell you the zip code." I'm like, "I got to go on stage in 10 minutes. Now you're fucking creeping me out." He goes, "Go ahead, name any city." And I'm like, "Verona, New Jersey." He's like, 07044. Give me another one. I go, "I don't want to. Like, this is the worst."
Yeah.
He cornered me in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, "Hey, Mitchell Walters is here and he's in the dressing room like a comic would be."
Yeah.
He's like hanging out.
Mitchell was one of the guys, really one of the funniest guys off stage, pound for pound, I've ever met in my life. But you got to live that life. He's like a grifter, man. That dude is like that guy's one of the best card mechanics I've ever seen in my life. He could sit there. He told me a story.
Really?
Yeah, he told me a story.
It's card, not car.
Cards. He was card mechanic.
Yeah, I want the listener to make sure that they heard that right. Card.
No, card mechanic.
Yeah.
So he would go to these church basements up in Long Island and stuff, and they would sit there, and he had a partner, and they would hustle these card games, and this lady goes. She goes, "Are you with him?" And he goes, "No, I'm not with him." She goes, "I just find it interesting that you both are eating the same kind of candy." And it was like the candy, like the lemon drops in the metal tins. It was like a specific kind of candy. And another time, these guys are shooting pool. He goes, "Yeah, I lost my ass to this guy."
Hold up. Was the candy, was that some kind of tell they had?
Well, no, but they were just sitting there. But they
was
both
it actual coincidence?
No, that was his partner. But they were stupid enough that they had these tins, these like lemon drops, these candy, but it was such like a specific kind of candy. Someone was,
they obviously went to the same little apothecary.
Before they stopped in, but the same kind of candy before they sat down at the car game. And he goes, "I just find that odd."
You want to get lemon drops? Let's get lemon drops. You want blues, screamers, bennies, greens.
So there's another dude, and this guy was a kind of a connected guy, like a mob guy, and he's shooting at the billiard hall. And he's talking with another guy. He goes, "Yeah," he goes, "I lost my ass to this fucking prick, this guy with this hat, this wise-ass son of a bitch." He goes, and the other goes, "Fat guy, hat, glasses." He goes, "Yeah, that's the guy." He goes, "Yeah, he clipped me for a couple of grand." And they started to put two to two together. And then they went to the racetrack. He goes, he was always hanging out at the racetrack. So the guy gets up. They go down to the racetrack. And they
moment they go to the racetrack.
Oh, yeah, they go. He goes, he's always on the racetrack.
Degenerate. When they can find you at the racetrack.
Yeah, bro.
Like, where's he hang out?
Oh, yeah, but he was a complete degenerate. And I swear to God, they run into the dude at the racetrack. They see him. Luckily for him, he had just hit for like $900. And they grab the guy. They're getting ready to bust his legs or bust his thumbs or something. And he grabs it and goes, "I got a winning ticket. I got the winning ticket. I got the winning ticket." He goes, yeah, give it to me. They cash in $900. And he goes, "There, that's what you get for ripping people off." And the guy's leaving. And the guy comes back and gives him $200. He goes, "You really should watch yourself. I'm not going to take all your money, but you should really watch yourself." And he didn't hurt him. But I guess at some weird level, you got to respect a dude like that because they are a card mechanic, because they can handicap races. I mean, but he's a grifter, man. He lives in that. And that's something you don't see much of anymore.
Well, Ben Affleck just got banned from 2 casinos for counting cards, apparently.
Yeah, I guess, huh?
But it's not against the rules to count cards.
No.
You're getting kicked out for winning.
Yeah, but of course, nobody's. They just can't figure out how you're cheating. They know you're cheating, but they can't figure out how you're doing it.
But counting cards isn't cheating.
Yeah,
it's not cheating. You're just you're counting cards. You're using your God-given ability.
I guess you would
to remember what's in the show.
You have to be pretty obvious about it. It depends. Because if you're singing, you have to count cards in a single deck shoe. You can't count cards in a 6-deck shoe.
No, not 6 decks. You could do. People get up to 2, 3 deck shoes, but you never see
with a team, not by yourself.
You could do it by yourself, but you never see a regular flip over shoe anymore. It's always just the electric, like.
then when you do see the one
Yeah.
deck, don't you get all excited and sit down like you're gonna win?
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta go downtown on Fremont Avenue for that kind of action, bro.
Yeah.
How do the
You
dealers
could
always win? If it's not rigged,
dude,
but how do they always pull 20s every goddamn time?
No, but you could sit there. You could go, look, I got 19, and we could play. I could just give me 19. All right, and we'll just play the R's 19. And Mitchell Walters actually showed me this. He goes 9 times. He's going to win every time. He's like, if you give him 19, you just play the cards. They're going to be, they don't pay those electricity bills in Vegas because they lose. I mean, it's all stacked in the favor.
Yeah.
I was actually in St. Martin at one time doing a game, and I watched they're sitting at the tables, and they're actually counting the cards and leaving a couple out. But that's St. Martin. That's not on their USA game.
What do you mean?
What?
Well, they were sitting there
I don't get it.
They had these big 6-deck shoes.
The house was.
Yeah, that's St. Martin. It's Dutch and French, so they're just and it was a ripoff. There were people that went to the ATM to get money, sat down at the table, and goes, "I can't take this counterfeit." He goes, "I just got out of your goddamn ATM machine." He goes, "Can't help you." He goes, "We got this at the bank, but it's a complete freaking
because they didn't want you, like what? They knew a face card was coming, so they took it out of the deck so you couldn't get it."
Yeah, I guess, or they would take a couple out. They would take a couple out of the deck just to even stack it more in their favor.
Wow. So China, how did you get to the gigs in China? They pick you up and everything?
Yeah, they pick you up. The hospitality is amazing. I mean, you don't pay for a drink. You don't pay for any
You're not
food.
wandering the streets in China like,
No,
do you know how to get to the
no.
Chuckle Hut?
No, yeah.
It's for Americans only, but could you help me?
No, you can get around Hong Kong, not speaking Mandarin, but you can't get around Shanghai. They could give a shit. But you're always with somebody, and there's an Australian dude that speaks fluent Chinese, he speaks like 4 or 5 languages, and he's the guy that runs the show. And they give you just hand the card to the cab driver where you're going. It's written in Chinese, and the guy takes you there. But it's amazing. It's amazing. And I have to tell you, there was some James Bond going on over there on this trip. Like, he was getting to Hong Kong. I go, I want to get some suits made. Ever since I heard James Bond, I know a great tailor in Hong Kong. I go, yeah, that's the experience I want. I got like 4 suits made for $100 a piece.
Really?
For $400, custom fit, custom made. Like, these guys are like the best tailors.
Chinese people.
Chinese. They love the sew.
Everyone's getting their suits in Italy. Little do they know.
Well, but you can go to China and you can get them cheaper over there. And so I got like 4 suits made, and then I had to leave. They weren't going to be ready in time, but I was coming back to Hong Kong anyway to pick them up. And then we went to Macau. Macau, dude, is ridiculous. It's like the Las Vegas of Asia, and it's like Las Vegas plus 50. Imagine like Las Vegas like times 50. And they got these amazing. There's a guy named Stanley Ho up there, and this guy has had the only gaming license in Macau for the last 40 years. He's worth like $80 billion. He's got 16 kids. Stanley Ho. I met his brother up there. Ass ho. But now Steve Wynn has moved in there. They've given a couple other gaming licenses over there, so now it's even more packed. And so we're sitting there, and the guy goes, "Hey man, I need you to have a good show." And I go, "Yeah man, I'll have a great show. Don't worry about it. I'm feeling pretty good." And I had a great show. And he goes, "I got a surprise for you." I go, "Bro, I don't like surprises, all right? What are we doing?" He goes, "You'll like this surprise." So he goes, "We're going to the sauna." I go, great, man. I want to go to the sauna. So you go up to the sauna, and you jump in, you get a locker, you jump in a hot tub. You go, "This is perfect because I've been flying every day." And then he goes, "Hey, you get 2 extras. I recommend the body scrub, and I recommend the foot rub." And I go, "All right, man, that's great." So this chick comes out, and she's giving me the body scrub, and I'm laying on my back. She jumps on my back naked and starts washing me with her naked body. And all over the place. I mean, didn't bring me to completion, but got me stiffer than a gay sailor at a Ricky Martin concert. And then so I get back, I put on my clothes, I go back into this other room. There's a cigarette box. I'm smoking a cigarette. They bring me some watermelon juice and a chicken sandwich. And this woman gave me the best foot rub I've ever had in my life, and it goes all the way up to the leg. I'm looking at the dude going, "Man, this is awesome. This is just what I needed, bro." And he goes, "What are you talking about? It hasn't even started yet." And just like that, a scene from Rush Hour 2, or 25 of the most hottest Asian women you've ever seen in your life come walking out in lingerie, and they start standing at the foot of the thing, and I start.
As you're getting your feet massaged.
I just start giggling.
Drinking watermelon juice.
Just start giggling. He goes, "Yeah, man, pick one." I can't. It's like, I go, "All right, bro." And you pick a girl, and they take you off for an hour, and there's a shower and everything, and a little bit, and then you come back. But it's like, dude, I could see how you could, like, guys could just live there. Like, guys, because they let you sleep, it's like totally cool. They feed you, and it's ridiculous for $160 American. It is, and that's not even including the tornado blowjob.
All right, let's talk about that after these commercials.
DDP Yoga is a proven exercise program that has changed the lives of thousands of people around the world. My friends, it's called yoga, but this is not your mama's yoga. Diamond Dallas Page is a former heavyweight champion pro wrestler who developed this program as a high-energy, assertive way to get fit while being easy on the joints. If you need a workout that helps you build strength, increase flexibility, and burn calories. We want to burn calories, right? Diamond Dallas Page is offering my listeners a great deal on his most popular workouts for a very limited time. Listen up. The Max Pack, that includes 15 workouts that can take anyone from a beginner to an elite athlete. The 5-DVD set also comes with a nutrition guide, meal planner, handy chart of the core positions, and downloadable MP3 workouts. Go to ddpyoga.com/jmohr or click the banner on jmohr.com to take advantage of a special offer only available to my listeners. The rest of the country, they can't get it. It's for you only. Once again, that's ddpyoga.com/jmohr or click the banner at jmohr.com to get this deal. I'm telling you, I've been doing it for 2 weeks, and my body looks nice.
When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
Once in a while, a breakthrough product comes along and changes the way we live. If you want to help keep your skin looking younger, you need to know about HelioCare. The sun can do some pretty terrible things to your skin. Sun damage can happen even on cloudy or overcast days. You don't even know what's happening, and your skin's getting blasted by the sun through the clouds. Just walking to the mailbox or driving or walking your dogs every day can add up to older-looking skin. HelioCare is a daily-use dietary supplement. It contains PLE, which you may have heard about on TV, and you take it just like a multivitamin. HelioCare's antioxidant formula helps your skin protect itself from the aging effects of the sun year-round. That's why thousands of dermatologists have requested samples of HelioCare for their patients. That should tell you something right there. If you've ever worried about sun damage, if your family has a history of sun-related skin problems, you need to start taking HelioCare. Buy a 2-month supply of HelioCare at Walgreens and Rite Aid in the vitamin section. Look for the yellow and black box or visit HelioCare.com.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Jason Ray noticed a blue birthmark had appeared on his forehead in the shape of the Geico gecko. Jason felt compelled to switch his car insurance to Geico and save hundreds of dollars with great discounts. By nightfall, the birthmark had disappeared. Jason's wife, Jeannie, thinks it was probably just blueberry jam from breakfast. Jason prefers to believe otherwise.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
All right, Jimmy Schubert. What the hell's a tornado blowjob?
Okay, man. You got to go to the Shanghai Hotel in Shanghai, third floor.
What's the airfare going to run me here?
Listen, believe me, what's waiting on the end of that is worth it. So you go into this third floor, you walk in, all these girls come out with a little number on them, and you go, yeah.
What, are they in a race or something?
No, they have a little number. Yeah, they're on a race.
They're at the track.
They're on a race to do the
tornado.
tornado.
Wait for Mitch to bet on them.
So you pick 178. She comes out. She grabs you by the hand. She takes you in another room, and you pick the outfit you wanted to wear. And, Chinese girls are all like a size 0. So they put the outfit on. You go into your room. You disrobe, and you lay on the table, and she comes in, and she gives you a massage. She then rolls you over, get you stiff, and then there's these steps. She goes up these steps, and she grabs these bars, and there's these silk scarves hanging from the ceiling, and she pulls her legs up, and she wraps them in the scarves. She hangs upside down. She puts you in her mouth, and she lets go, and she spins around on your Johnson. And as she gets lower, her self-esteem gets lower, and it's fantastic to watch. It's called a tornado blowjob. And they have mouse spice options and everything else.
What?
Mouse spice. Like, don't put cinnamon in their mouth or some other spices that are supposed to enhance.
Like your dick thinks it's delicious? What does your dick
do? I think it's probably
tingles a little bit or something.
Yeah, it tingles a little bit. It's just like.
Do they point to like the wall? Like, which spice would you like in my mouth?
As I make my call these spice concierge out. Go, what's going to help me climax quicker?
That's some fucking Cirque du Soleil shit.
Well, not everybody makes first team Cirque du Soleil. There's some D players and some E players. And I got.
Vegas ain't happening, but I got you a nice gig in Macau.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Listen,
how's your jaw?
And they still got to. They still got to.
You got a set of whiskers on her. I'm telling you, she'd be perfect for your gig in Macau, man.
hey, they still got to feed their families. You know what I'm saying? And that's not something you want an amateur doing. You could lose a helmet in a tornado accident, come back with like hoof and foot disease or something.
Wouldn't you just start laughing if somebody like
first I was intrigued. I'm going, this is fascinating. And don't get me wrong, you're not going to find it in Frommer's guidebook. There was some other stuff I did. I went to Forbidden City and I went to like a Zen temple, but I thought the tornado blowjob was certainly worth investigation.
Wow. Is wow, what better way to bring your family great honor?
Yeah. Well, man, China is like the craziest place, man. There's 1.7 billion people here. Like, you could be peeing. My buddy Matt Davis, I got a hymn gig over there, so he was over there, and he goes, I'm pissing in the urinal, and another guy comes up on my right, pissing in the same urinal, and a dude comes up on the left, and they're all pissing on the urinal. He goes, what are we doing here, fellas? Looking at dicks? What's going on? I mean, there's that many people.
It was that crowded. Three guys to a urinal?
Dude, there's a lot of Chinese. There's a lot of Chinese people, bro. For every Chinese guy, there's 9 Chinese guys. I'm telling you. Every time I stuck my hand in my pocket, I'm shaking hands with a Chinese guy going, hey, you people don't really understand the personal space thing, do you, really?
They're on top of each other. 1.7 billion. You and I were in the movie Go together.
Yeah.
And we had a scene. I don't think I was in the strip club scene.
No, you weren't in the strip club scene, but you had this great. You had that thing was so great. You know who else was in that movie? Remember Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah,
she was the neighbor. She was the girl that was in the house.
She was the one that knew that me and Scott Wolf played boyfriends in the movie. Yeah. And then I'm not telling you, obviously, I'm telling them.
Right.
And then we find out that we're being cheated on by the same guy, and so we go to his house. His roommate, Melissa McCarthy, answers the door, and she's like, she sees one of us first, and then the other one comes into the doorway, and she's like, "Oh my God, you guys know, right?" And we're like, "Yeah, we know. Where's Jimmy?"
Yeah.
Not Jimmy Schubert, Jimmy the
character, yeah,
who was played by the actual hairdresser. When it came time where we had to go show up at the club, here's the whole plot. We're gonna teach this guy a lesson. Doug Liman, brilliant. John August, he's been on the podcast, wrote the script.
Yeah, he's
Doug
great.
Liman, brilliant director. But the one little weird hole, like, we're gonna get super revenge on this guy.
Yeah.
So we're going to show up at a rave where we know he is. Are we going to kneecap him? Are we going to beat the shit out of him? Are we going to paint him tar feather? No. I got to make out with him, and then Scott Wolf cuts off a lock of his hair.
Yeah. I love that whole scene with you.
That wasn't exactly payback. Like, oh my God, an inch of my hair is missing.
Yeah.
And Jay made out with me. You got me.
Yeah, I love the whole scene with you and Bill Fichtner. That was so uncomfortable but hilarious at the same time.
Bill Fichtner completely nude, and I go in. He's a cop. We get popped for ecstasy, and we got to work it off by getting up the ladder.
I got to tell you something, man. That movie was a great movie. It was just like, people still bring it up when I'm at shows. Like, people will show up with the box from like Go and go, "Hey, will you sign it?" I mean, that movie is like a cult classic. I mean, I
love that movie.
Yeah, I do too. I thought John August is a great writer, and Doug Liman is more of a.
He's crazy though.
Yeah, but he's more of a cinematographer than he is like, he's a great camera guy,
He's brilliant, but it's like some guys like, I've worked with Clint Eastwood, and like he's brilliant. He sees the whole field. Like, great point guards have like court vision. They know the play before it happens. Or hockey players, they know where the guy's going to wind up. Whereas like Doug Liman, it's almost like, how do I explain this? If you take like a floodlight and illuminate an entire football field, that's Clint. Whereas like Doug Liman's brilliance is like a laser, and if you're being touched by the laser, you're like, this guy's fucking brilliant. But if you're just standing off to the side, you're just watching a crazy person talk.
Yeah.
If you're not directly in his eye line and he's not talking direct. Me and Scott Wolf were in the scene at a liquor store in Venice, and we didn't have any permits, nothing. We did everything on the fly. Right. So we got to get the scene done real quick before the cops show up and go, "Hey, what's going on? You're filming here without a license."
Right.
So for some reason, we weren't doing the scene the way Doug Liman wants it. And Doug Liman comes up, he goes, hold on a second. He's got his crazy like Albert Einstein hair.
Yeah.
And I say all this desperately hoping I get to work with him again because, let's face it, I do AM radio. Anyway, so Doug Liman comes up to Scott and goes, listen. He says to me, he goes, listen, you're a gorilla. And he thinks he's a gorilla. Like, you ever been to the zoo? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm fascinated where this is going. He goes, you're a gorilla. He's a gorilla, but he's not really a gorilla. He thinks he's a gorilla. And he says to Scott, he goes, you know he's a gorilla. You know you're not a gorilla. But you got to make him know that you're a gorilla, like you are both gorillas.
Right.
But you're really like an antelope or a giraffe or something. And Scott Wolf goes, hold on a second. And I grab Scott by his arm. I go, if you fucking ask him one question, I'm going to punch the shit out of you. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's
and he goes, yeah, but I go, just do the fucking scene.
Yeah.
So we do the scene. and Doug Liman comes out from the director's chairs. He goes, 2 gorillas. Look at this. Look at this. And I go, just do it Just do it how we're doing it.
But you could get that kind of direction. Look, I want you to walk into the scene like you have an aunt that lives in Peoria. What? I mean,
you get direction like that for people.
Yeah, but that's you have to as an actor, you have to realize you're almost self-directed. You have to bring options. But I mean,
every once in a while you get one that's right on the money. When I was doing Picture Perfect, Glenn Gordon Caron, we're doing the scene over and over, and he's just not happy with it. And he goes, "Do me a favor. This entire scene, I want you to make believe you're whistling. Walk. Don't whistle, but just walk. Do the entire scene zippity doo dah, zippity day, whistling. Imagine you're whistling. But don't move your mouth like you're whistling. Just that." And then it added a weird little bounce to your step, nothing was serious at all.
Right.
And it was fun. It was and he's like, cut, print, boom, moving on. So for anybody out there listening that's acting and you have a director telling you something that's absolutely crazy, look that director in the eye and go, got it. Great note. And then do it the exact same way you're doing it. And when it's over, tell the director, man, I appreciate that tip, man. It helped me a lot. Thanks for telling me to whistle like a gorilla.
Yeah, whistle like a gorilla.
In Peoria. But you were the bouncer in the strip club, and you told Taye Diggs and the British guy, who I don't know his name.
Yeah, Desmond Askew.
Desmond Askew.
Yeah.
They go to the strip club, and you tell them, don't
touch the girls.
There's only one rule. Don't touch the girls. And then something happened. They're all whacked
Desmond
out
Askew, he can't help it. He touches the girls.
And everybody beats the shit out of him. And as they're being carted out, Jimmy Schubert with the famous line, I told you, don't touch the girls.
Yeah, and then he shoot me in the arm. And he pulls out a gun and he shoots me in the arm. And then Screaming Freeman. The other great line the other great story from that thing was, when I first show up my first day, I meet the guy who's playing my dad, J.E. Freeman, who played the Dane in Miller's Crossing. So this guy, I know who this guy is. Yeah, this guy's a monster actor. He's been checked him out. And he goes, hey, you smoke? And I go, yeah. I thought he meant cigarettes, but he's talking about, pot. So we go to his trailer, and we're puffing on a doob, and it was some potent, fucking North Slope fucking tripweed. And
Miller,
hi. And I hear this knock.
What kind of guys on Amtrak smoke?
Kind of guys on Amtrak, exactly. Our boy Dennis Miller, and and then he. And then
North Slope tripweed.
And then he goes,
the kind of guys on Amtrak smoke.
That's right.
Oh, wow, Jimmy, I love it.
That guy can turn a phrase like Bob Dylan. You know what I mean? Nobody puts together a phrase like Dennis Miller. But he. So I get up, and I'm kind of this is real heavy duty weed. And you're not ready for your shot. And I start freaking out, going, I got to remember. And it was just a pickup shot. It was they just wanted to see me in the shot, And
pickup shot meaning there's no dialogue. We owe that, we owe it. We didn't get to it. So basically, we got to shoot the entire strip club, and we just need Jimmy standing in the back looking at papers.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. And I realized I went, whoa. But that night I rented 5 movies. I went home and I started watching John Wayne movies. I started watching these guys. So I would, because I don't think it got me in a mode to I better take this seriously, because this was really the first film I was doing. I mean, Go was the first thing that I done.
You wouldn't know it. You're great.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Natural.
But I mean, that cast was Katie Holmes, Sarah Polley. It was a great cast. It was a great little project to be involved. I thought it was. It was a masterwork by Doug Liman. From Swingers to that, I thought it was great.
How freaked out were you? Because I've acted one toke over the line a few times in my life, and it is the most panic-inducing, because you're surrounded by 60 people, and they're all facing you, and they're focusing on you.
Yeah.
There's a man whose job it is to turn a knob to make sure everyone else in the room has you perfectly in focus.
Yeah.
And there's a sound man making sure you are absolutely, undoubtedly, perfectly recorded, and you're fucking high.
Yeah.
And everyone's staring at. It's not like, could you guys not look at me like you're kind of freaking me out? No, that's the gag. We just stare at you until we're done.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I didn't smoke pot for the rest of the movie until we were done shooting, and then we called it acting lessons, because J.E. Freeman, when we were sitting there smoking, the guy gave me 20 or 30 acting tips that you would never get in acting class, only from a guy who had done 75 movies. He goes, if the guy's over here, you want to take your right eye and look over to this right eye and open yourself up towards camera. And he gave me all these 30 or 40 of these great little things inside
that you
this.
Never forgot.
That I never forgot. I mean, it was amazing. It was like a master class in acting. And then, but then after that, when everybody was smoke pot, they go, you guys want to get some acting lessons? So we would call it. That's what they called pot. After Taye Diggs goes, hey, you want to get some acting lessons? And then we would go puff on 2 people, but only after we were done. But yeah, that was cool. I mean, you got the greatest stand up that you've had more acting work and stuff.
Me?
Yeah, you've done it. You know, I mean, there's only a couple guys.
I wish I could do it all again because I would do it better.
Yeah, well, there's only a couple guys. It's like Kevin Pollak. I mean, Dennis Leary. I mean, you guys are like great stand-ups, but also you're great actors as well. That's a rare combination.
Really nice. I've recorded. Paul Reiser was just on a couple episodes ago, and I asked him, and I want your opinion on this. Like, I think that there's a glass ceiling on comics when it comes to acting. Like,
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, because like Billy Crystal, Robin Williams, Billy Connolly, like there is an Oscar in these guys at the drop of it's just a matter of somebody hiring them.
Have you seen? Speaking of Billy Crystal, have you seen his one-man show, 700 Sundays?
I saw like a minute of it, but I was falling asleep.
You got to watch the whole thing.
I wasn't falling asleep because of it. I was falling asleep and it was on.
Yeah, I got news for you. One of the most powerful things. I mean, you look at that. Billy Crystal is a national treasure, man. I mean, that guy from Soap to SNL, but you watch him do this one-man show. And it is, I mean, he'll have you screaming, laughing.
What's it called?
700 Sundays.
I saw him at Gelson's right up here.
Yeah,
right?
but that's how many Sundays he had with his dad.
Yeah.
And it is one of the most, I mean, it's touching, it's hilarious, it's moving, it's poignant. It is one of the, I mean, it is a master class in like a one-man show. It's just brilliant. It's just.
But he's never, it's that glass ceiling thing. Like you see Billy Crystal in Mr. Saturday Night, and you see Paul Reiser in Diner and Alien. You see Robin Williams in Moscow on the Hudson.
Yeah.
Like the most heartbreaking Russian lost immigrant.
And brilliantly done, too, by Robin Williams. I mean, that's great,
But nominated for, I think,
Jim
for Good Will
Carrey.
Hunting.
Jim Carrey, too.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're right. But this comics, for some reason, have this thing where it's like, he's a comedian. But, I mean, you look at guys like Gleason, Jackie Gleason, Soldiers in the Rain. I mean,
Steve McQueen.
I
can't fucking believe you pulled that out. Where you been all my life?
Houston.
With that Pepsi.
Where he's at, he's got a great dog.
I will with alacrity, Miss Moneypenny.
Yeah, I will. I mean, people don't know about Gleason. I mean, Gleason for a big guy was really a great dancer, but he made most of his money with the Jackie Gleason Orchestra. He would stay up all night with the orchestra conducting. He put out these albums of like these romantic things. I mean, Gleason's one of my heroes.
Gleason's obsession. Oh, Billy Crystal. I saw him at Gelson's on like a Wednesday.
Right.
And I went up to him and I said hi, and he goes, "Hey, how are you?" Like, just only comics that you've never met. You go up to Billy Crystal, who's one of your idols, and he goes, "Jay, how are you?" And you're like, "Fuck!" Like that's the best thing that I love about comics.
Yeah.
It's a very small brotherhood. And Buddy Hackett told me that Bob Newhart told him, aside from living presidents, it's the smallest club in the country.
He's right. I tell you what, I was doing a festival over in Ireland, and I was doing it with Dom Irrera, Emo Phillips, and Mike Birbiglia, and we were doing a couple theater shows for the Bulmers
Kind of
Comedy.
falls off at the end there.
Yeah. Anyway, we're over there. But as soon as I told my parents,
fucking Dom, Emo,
yeah,
far out.
yeah,
What?
Yeah. So then, as soon as I told my family I'm going, my brothers go, "We're going." My mom and dad go, "We're going." My aunt and uncle, "We're going." I had like 11 people come over to see me, and for me, it was like one of those things that crossed on my bucket list. My old man got to see me perform in Ireland on this at the Olympia Theatre on Dane Street with that show, and I'm flying back, and we had dinner with Dom one night. He stopped in, and we're all Dom's the best, and we're sitting there waiting for the plane to go back, and he says to me, he goes, "Man," he goes, "I'm so glad you brought your family here." He goes, "I'm never going to be able to perform in Sicily and have my mom come just because they don't speak English or whatever." But he goes, "I wonder if your parents realize how tough it was for you to do." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, Jimmy, you're an A-room headliner. You do that." He goes, "How many guys could you name that work to do it at a high level that are living right now? How many? I guess I'd probably come up with 70, 80 guys." He goes, "I bet you you come up with 125 guys." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "How many baseball players do you know?" I said, 32 teams, 25-man rosters, give or take. It's 750 guys. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "So statistically, you have a better chance to become a famous baseball player than you a famous comedian." He goes, "The NHL's a little less than that. It's about 650. The NBA. Football's about 1,500 guys." He goes, "But there's a very small group of guys that are like, working, touring professional comedians. It really is. I mean, a lot and only in LA do you have people. I'm a comedian. I go, "No, you're not a comedian. You're an actor that's trying to." But you're right. The guys that do it for a living, it is a small brotherhood.
I see Billy Crystal in aisle 6 on Wednesday. Very next day, same time. I forgot something. I had to go back to get it. He's standing in the exact same place he was the day before.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I go up to him again. I go, "Hey, stranger," and he goes, "Hey, how are you, Jay?" I go, "I got to tell you, I didn't tell you this yesterday." you look like he looks fantastic.
Yeah, he looks great.
I go, you look fantastic. I didn't say you look marvelous. I didn't think of it till this moment. You look marvelous.
Right.
But I go, you look fantastic. Like, you look really great. You look healthy, handsome, happy. And he goes, aisle 6 has always been good to me. Like, boom.
Like
and then that's it. You're done.
Yeah, he's...
Gleason was like the biggest cocksucker that ever walked the planet. You know, he was like a bad guy.
Well, I think he drank a lot, and probably when he drank, he became a little bit of an a-hole. But
No. Don Rio did action. We did action together.
Yeah.
He stepped in as showrunner, and he wrote on like the return of the return of the return of the return of the Honeymooners.
Right.
And they're in Miami, and this is like pre-fucking internet, obviously, right? And every comic every day had to bring Jackie Gleason 50 jokes, but each joke had to be on one piece of paper. So you had to walk in with 50 pieces of paper and put them on his desk. And all the comics got in Jackie's room, and he would turn off all the air conditioning, and you had to sit in his tiny, tiny office, like 11 comics. So what, 550 jokes, thereabouts? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Is that close?
Right.
I suck at math. I'm an idiot. And Jackie Gleason would go, shall we get started? And you would go, he would point, and you would go, Jimmy Schubert, and take your 50 separate pages typed out and put them on his desk. And he would take one piece of paper, he put it on the desk. Don Rio was in the room, and this is what he told me. And he would read the joke, looking down at his desk. He would look up at you like you were a piece of fucking shit. Look back down at the joke, look up at you, take his finger and point down on the paper, slide it across the desk, never breaking eye contact with you. And there's a trash can at the end of the desk. But there's 49 more to go.
Right.
There's 11 writers. This shit went for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And they're all sweating. You got to piss. You got to shit. But you don't want. He's the great one. You don't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
They leave, and he goes, I want everyone now to do 60 jokes, and I want them tomorrow because these are absolute dreck.
Yeah.
So the comics, they all leave the writers.
And this is coming from a guy who stole Milton Berle's act, the Honey Youngman's act. Yeah.
So they all leave. Don Rio and like 2 other guys, they're like, what does he do? Like, is he going to call the network and get us all fired? They all go back. They put their ear to the door, and then one guy cracks the door open. Jackie Gleason on his hands and knees, taking the jokes he liked out of the trash. It was all just a show.
Oh, that's fucking great.
What a dick.
What a dick.
But like, that's awesome.
But if you ever read the great one, I
love that book.
Yeah, but he's booked with Milton Berle and Henny Youngman, and he does an hour, and he's doing their jokes.
And
Henny Youngman left.
Huh?
Henny Youngman left. He goes, "Fuck, he's doing my act."
Johnny Carson and Steve Allen clipped from Gleason too, like Reginald Van Gleason.
Yeah.
Was Art Fern on the Tonight Show.
Right.
Remember when he'd be like, take the 110 to the 210 to the 10 to the 15, 10 to the 10.
That was Gleason.
So like everybody, and that all came. Steve Allen's really the guy that everybody took from.
Yeah,
he created essentially the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And like he was way the fuck out there. Like he would have Lenny Bruce on and like Miles Davis and shit.
Yeah, but that was great though. I mean, that was.
Of course it was.
Yeah, but you're right. But I think Carson was a guy who set a precedent. I mean, to come in and do that.
Oh, I'm not taking anything away from Johnny.
Yeah, but I know. But you're right. But Steve Allen was one of those guys. I mean, everybody talks about Steve. Back then it was Steve Allen. I had to go back and watch a couple of those episodes. You're right.
They're good.
Yeah, they're great.
They hold up.
You're right. He had Lenny Bruce on the Tonight Show.
And some of them were on during the day, and he would have Lenny Bruce on like at noon.
Yeah. Well, there's a dude named Ernie Koufax.
Yeah.
Ernie Koufax.
Show shows?
Yeah, the show. But he had.
Is that show shows?
No, I think Sid Caesar's shows.
Oh, you're correct. I like how you agreed with me, though.
I thought I had to think about it for a minute. Show sounded right, but it wasn't. But he was doing 14 hours of live television. You have to realize that medium, like those guys came from vaudeville into radio, and those guys came from radio into TV, and TV, like Sid Caesar, those guys, they didn't know what the frick they were doing. I mean, Sid Caesar, that was never done before.
Maybe that's the best gift you could have, is to not have any idea what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, basically.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like no network, like this is what the network wants. They want it to be a combination of Cheers and MASH. And we got to make sure we get out in 22 minutes.
Oh, there's a
we got to make sure the women are funny. We got to make sure this happens. We got to make sure that happens. And you just go, you know what? We thought it'd be funny if I just rode in on a donkey. And then what happens? I don't know. I'm just going to ride in on a donkey. Maybe we'll sing My Way or the Highway by the fucking McGarrigle Sisters. Then we'll go home.
There's a great book out called The Martian Would Never Say That. And it's a whole book of network notes. And the title of the book, they were working on My Favorite Martian. And the network executive said, Marshall would never say that. And I goes, how the fuck do you know what a Marshall would say or not say? But it's a great. You got to read the book. It's just ridiculous. Like you talk about network notes of stupidity. Yeah, great notes. Okay, and you just submit it the way you would normally submit it.
Have you gotten? Are you able to do your touring? Like, you got any dates in July you want to plug? Or you?
Oh yeah, man. I got dates in July. I'm going to be in Seattle the first week. I'm going to be in Atlanta at the Punchline the second week. And then
we're in Seattle.
I'm going to be at the Parlor, up at the Parlor, which is a great club. I'm going to be at the Punchline in Atlanta, and then I think I'm in. I'll only on the next commercial break. I'll check it out.
No, that's
people
you get a website.
Yeah, I got a website. Go to JimmySchubert.com.
Jimmy's like, oh, wait a minute.
No, I was going to.
I spent money on a website. I should use it right now.
Oh yeah, that's what it's
There's
for.
a million people listening.
I'm from an age before social media where you just had to be funny.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be like, I'm going to tweet that up. One tweet can make you a theater act today. You know.
And if you didn't like somebody, you couldn't tweet about him. You had to go be on a show with that guy.
Let me ask you a question. Do you get a lot of hate? Like people like.
Are you fucking kidding me? Maddie can attest to it. I don't know anybody that gets piled on more than me on Twitter.
Yeah, you catch a lot of shit.
Well, yeah,
I catch a lot of fucking shit.
Am I a dick?
Well, here's the
I try to keep it real positive.
You are very positive. It's just that people out there can
something about me that incenses people.
People out there can spin any kind of positivity or any kind of comment into a negative
you know what it is?
and they do.
Yeah, it's this Yelp culture we live in. At some point, like
culture.
Yeah, but anybody could be a fucking food. All you need to be a fucking food critic today are fingers.
Yeah.
And you can go after the look. All you
need to be a food critic is fingers.
You don't need a fucking mouth.
You go after the locals.
You don't even need a mouth.
You don't need a fucking mouth.
You just go after the look.
Funniest, and she goes, I felt sorry for him.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And this year they didn't do that because they think America gets it wrong most of the time.
No voting.
It's just the judges, which I like because all the judges do stand-up comedy. They know how tough it is, and you can't have somebody who doesn't do it judging it. I think that you have to have people that have done stand-up comedy to actually be great judges on it.
And Roseanne being on board, like, let's not kid each other. Like, Roseanne is, I mean, that's a monster. Because when we did it, Barry Katz would go, all right, for celebrity judges, here's my wish list. And it was like Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner, Jerry Seinfeld, Bill Cosby, and we wind up with like, Ant.
Yeah, no, I think that you
guys got the big names.
Yeah, they did it right this year. I think that because it is still an art form, and I think you can't like be running through Bed Bath and Beyond grabbing stuff off the shelves to do a prop box for Carrot Top. I think that was a little silly, But I think the challenge this year, there's going to be a roast challenge and some other stuff. There's going to be some sketch comedy they're going to do. I mean, the disciplines of stand up is what they want to stick to. And
I still remember my roast jokes.
Yeah.
The ones they couldn't put them on the air.
Yeah. Well, you guys have that advantage. When you were a contestant in the show, talking to Paige Hurwitz and Wanda Sykes, they really said no more.
What is Wanda doing? I thought she was going to host when I got wind.
I did too. But she is producing, and they're doing a good job. She actually mentored us at one point in the show with Amy Schumer.
Do you, like, you've been doing comedy like 30 damn years.
Yeah,
so like when Wanda or Amy, like when Amy Schumer goes to mentor you, is there pushback? Like, easy, sweetheart, I kind of know what I'm doing here.
I wanted to play the game, man. I was going to be an idiot, and plus, I think Amy's great. I mean, she's got a show on Comedy Central, and I think it's funny. I think Amy's funny, man. I respect her, but you're right. I know people would throw ashtrays at the television. Are you kidding me? Like, people go nuts, but it's you signed up for the thing. Play by the rules,
When I did it, when I was hosting it, people, when Dat Fan won, everybody was like, it's fixed. He beat Ralphie May. And let's be like, all respect to Dat Fan. It's like Ralphie May is a first
Well, I got news for you. The only reason Dat Fan won is because they played hide and seek and they left him outside the bushes for 2 hours. And I think people felt bad for him.
They did. My Aunt Sally teaches special ed in Brick, New Jersey. And she voted for Dat Fan, and I just asked her, why did you vote for Dat Fan? Did you think he's the?
Oh, you're trying to come up with stuff or create stuff because you got to get past standards and practices. The sooner you clear standards and practices, you don't want to be, getting ready to tape that night and wondering if you can say what you're going to say.
But explain to the listener, like, what that a guy like driving a mail truck has no idea what standing.
Okay, so they say you got to come up with a 4-minute and 30-second set. So you write a set that's basically 3:30 because you realize 3:30 is going to expand to about 4:30 in the theater like that.
With the applause and stuff.
Yeah, with the applause and stuff. It's just going to. And then you have to, you can't mention any brand names and you can't say the way you word stuff. So I wanted to get my sets cleared as quick as possible. So they would go, yeah, that's fine, and then go work on those sets. And, like, maybe they would change, like, a line or two here and there, but that was fine. But they're only going to you do 4 minutes and 30 seconds. They only show, like, 3 minutes of it, 2 minutes and 30 seconds of it on television. So...
they say about reality television because you wonder, like, wow, they edit it to make a certain person look like a jerk. Not Last Comic Standing specifically, but like Real Housewives and stuff like that. They go like, well, they edit. I had Caroline Manzo from Real Housewives of New Jersey on. She said, look, no one can edit you to look different than your actual self.
That's
like,
true.
If you're an asshole, the editors can't make you look good, and if you're good, they won't go out of their way to edit you to make you look like a dick.
Yeah, no, that's true, and I think that it's like
Google me,
just Google me, man. Just Google me. Come over to MySpace and let me Yahoo all over your Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
Google me, bro. People are like, who do you think you are? Google me, bro.
That's so crazy.
Jimmy Schubert is on Last Comic Standing and kicking ass. You made the final 10.
Yeah, well, semifinals just aired tonight. That's why my phone's going to be vibrating like a maniac because it's just on the East Coast feed. They just went off on the East Coast feed.
This will air 2 weeks from now. So by the time you're listening to this, Jimmy Schubert may have been eliminated.
That's right. That's exactly.
If I know anything about Last Comic Standing, I know that they got wacky challenges.
You created the show.
I did. Co-created, I guess, in full disclosure and fairness, with Peter Engel, who created Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
And we took it over to NBC, and Jeff Gassman was the head at NBC, and we did it. I liked it. I was proud of it.
I think you should be proud of it. I think it's great. I think it's get comedians on prime time, and I think what's good for comedy is great for comedians. And I think this is they took a 3-year hiatus. They brought it back. They made a couple changes with the judges. I think the judges are amazing. Russell Peters and Roseanne, and Keenan Ivory Waynes. And I think that they're they really kind of wanted to honor the art form. It's the only reason I decided to do it this season.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you wanna battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Hit that button, Maestro. More stories. Podcast live from the Fake Mustache Studios. I'm at jmohr.com if you want to email me. Buy T-shirts to support the podcast. Hit the Amazon banner. Buy something. Email me. I'll read what you wrote. Jimmy Schubert in the house. At Jimmy Schubert. No C in Schubert.
No C in Schubert. Schubert like the theater.
But people that don't live in Boston don't know that.
Yeah, I know. People always put the C in it. It's like one of those pet peeves. I'm going, just Google me, man. The Schubert pops up.
You just drop a fucking